Morning, everybody. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for everybody to jump on, but we'll get started as soon as we can. So, yeah, if you want to grab one quick drink or a quick dash to the loo, we've got a couple of minutes, then we'll get started.
We need some hold music or something. Silence makes me so uncomfortable.
I did say, you were joking at me, but it's quite,
Makes me so uncomfortable.
Embrace the silence.
Can do the playlist next time, Gary.
We sing, Gary.
We could do. Or one of Law's mindfulness sessions. That's what we need. An express 30-second one, Law.
Yeah. Breathing. Quick, find your feet.
Cool. So we'll get started in the next minute. So just give it the last 60 seconds to jump in. So I'm just going
While Paul's doing the admitting, hello everybody. Thank you for jumping on, spending your lunch break with us. Much appreciated. Hope everyone's good. Feel free to start popping bits in the chat. Quick hello, let us know who's in the room and where you're from. As ever, always trying to look at the network and connecting you guys as much as you joining us for all things coachable today.
Thanks, that Gary. I was just making sure Maddie had joined us, so we can get her on. So she'll unmute the mic in a second, which I think I've done. Maddie, can you unmute your mic, your end?
Yeah, I didn't realise I was muted. Sorry. Hi, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Maddie. Right, we'll get started.
Can you see me as well, or
Can't see yet, but can't see yet, Maddie. But don't worry about if we can't see. We're gonna get a lovely picture of you in a second, anyway. So as long as we can hear your voice, that's all that matters.
All right, cool. No worries.
Awesome. We'll get started, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Like Gary said, really appreciate you guys giving up of your lunchtime to come and listen into Coach Call. So quick 30 seconds from me, really, which is kind of like our town halls and an opportunity really that we put in the diary for anyone involved with Coach or whatever capacity, whether that is kind of like an apprentice, a graduate, an employer, one of our referral partners or wider supporting partners, funders, or anyone that just wants to really come and hear kind of like what's going on in Coach Course. We put these on to give you guys some key updates on what's going on in the world of Coach Call, some updates on how we're doing on some of our targets, think of some of the strategy stuff we do, and then probably a chance for you guys to start to jump in and start to look at really kind of like shaping some of the work that we do. So today, Maddie, I'm going to introduce in a little bit, who is one of our apprentices. She was our Apprentice of the Year back at the Coach Core Awards in February. She's going to say a bit of hello and tell you about her and her story. We're going to then have a quick bit of a highlight reel with some of the stuff that's happened since the last town hall back in November. And then we've got some other updates, but with the main focus around kind of marketing and comms and our 1,000th apprentice, which will be happening soon. So without further ado, because I'm just holding us all together today and passing from person to person, just want to introduce Maddie really quickly, who I've already said is one of our apprentices from Leicester City in the community, who won our Apprentice of the Year back in February. So Maddie, I'm going to let you jump in and say a little bit of hello and kind of like who you are and a little bit about you and your journey so far.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Maddie, as Paul's just mentioned. I work for Leicester City in the community as a community engagement coach, and my journey started with Leicester City in the community in 2021. I started on the Kickstart scheme, which was initially a 6-month placement alongside the government, a funded place, which was a 25-hour part-time contract. And then after that, my manager Dan, who is an ace guy, by the way, Dan put me on to Coach Corps, and one of my friends, Freya, had already done the apprenticeship, so she had told me quite a lot about it. And I was like, yeah, let's go, because I'd been to college, and I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't like it. I didn't like being stuck in a classroom all day, and even though I was doing sports, it didn't feel like it was my passion, because I was just being told and spoken to all day rather than spoken with. I feel like with an apprenticeship, I was able to be open-minded towards the fact that I was working, but I was also having education. I had a mentor called Brogan. I don't know if Brogan's here, but Brogan is one of the best learning mentors, not being biased, but she actually is. Yeah, Brogan was great help for me in my apprenticeship and really supported me through it, to be fair. And then, yeah, I finished it last year in August 2023. And then I got a job with Leicester City in the community, working with women, specifically in our Wycliffe area, which is an underprivileged area in Leicester. And we essentially try and get women socially active and then physically active through our Active Women programme. And yeah, I'm loving it, to be honest. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Maddie. I
No
suppose
worries.
one last thing before we jump into the rest of the session today, I suppose, is like one of the reasons that we want to get you on, just to kind of sit at hello and who you are, is one of the things that we are going to be talking about, is we are getting close to our kind of like 1,000th apprentice. So obviously with you being our current apprentice of the year, we thought it'd be great for you to jump on as one of those people that's been through the Coach Corps program. Was like, what's the best thing from your kind of like 50 months or so during Coach Corps that you would want to share with everybody before we jump on with the rest of the session?
Definitely networking, connecting with people that I didn't think I'd ever connect with. And I still can't believe I won that award, by the way. Still a bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think definitely like connecting with people, even at the event, like even at the final, like at the Coach Corps event, and meeting the other apprentices, and it's like hearing their stories, and just like that whole day for me was special. Just not the fact that I won, just the fact of hearing other people like myself in a similar situation to what I was in a few years ago, and like Coach Corps making that positive impact, like without being cringe, Coach Corps changed my life, quite literally. Because I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm looking at like my next steps are looking at going to America to start coaching. So, you know, I won't be able to do that without the qualification, without the support, without the experience I've gained. So yeah, I can't shout out Coach Corps enough. I'll always be shouting out for Coach Corps, because yeah, they literally changed my life. I think one of the most important things for me was meeting Brogan, because she was literally like, she's like what I want to be when I'm older. If like she's like a real role model to me. And I think yeah, she made me love learning, and I hated it before. So yeah, it was an amazing program to be a part of. I'm so grateful.
Awesome. Thanks, that Maddie. I promise we're not Maddie to say any of that, by the way. But yeah, Maddie's been on an incredible journey, and like I said, definitely deserves all the recognition she gets. But also probably really has given me a really nice, easy segue into the next little bit, I suppose, is that like that is kind of like what these sessions are all about. But I'm kind of like providing that network where you can bring everybody together, keep everybody up to date with what we do, but more importantly, kind of like talk about how we can collectively kind of like share all the success stories and those individual stories of young people like Maddie. Like I say, she is one of soon to be 1,000 apprentices that Coach Corps supported, which has kind of turned from starting off with supporting 20 apprentices in London to now supporting anywhere between 100 and 150 apprentices each year. So that brings me on nicely to pass over to Gary, who's going to give you a bit of like a highlight of kind of what's gone on since the last town hall to keep you guys in the loop. So I'm going to throw over to Gary.
Cheers, Tomo. Yeah, I put in the chat, but thank you everybody for jumping on today. Really do appreciate it. I've got 5 minutes to cover off what has been an unbelievably busy 6 months for the charity. So I will whistle stop through this, and as ever, encourage anybody to drop us a note or any questions you've got, stick them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. But as you can possibly see by a quick scoop around the virtual room, we've swelled the team a little since November last year. So one of the big projects that we've undertaken is our employment coach team. I'd love to think it's just victim of our success. As we've grown, we've lost that ability of where it was firstly myself, obviously from day dot, and then Amy, then Laura, and where we would just tear around this country with suitcases, wheel behind us, trying to connect all the employers and work with our apprentices. And what we wanted to do is make sure that we never lost that connectivity. So it's great to obviously hear Maddie talk about that, and that's still being felt. And our employment coaches, so they can give a wave, but Loz coordinates our lovely, amazing team. And we've got M in the north, so M can wave right on cue there. Bex in the Midlands, who's sat in her dodgy car park at the moment, but that's her living on brand. And then we've got Phil from the south as well, that are there to be that critical point between employers, apprentices, learning coaches, and obviously back to the charity itself. So this is going to help us in a number of different ways grow not only more programs, but more partnerships and more opportunities for young people and for employers alike, and also make sure that we connect those sector dots to really live and breathe who we say we are and what we do. From a fundraising perspective, we've got Comrades on the call who's joined to support our corporate partnerships, which grow ever more of importance to us as a charity, and we're so grateful that some, particularly the Collinson team and things that have joined us on the call today. So Comrades there to really strengthen those relationships. And we've got a brand new Trust and Foundations officer in Prince that is taking over from Charlene, that some of you may have met before. He'll be joining very soon. And we've also done a lot of work. So for those of you that have been on the journey for a little while, you'll know that we were a programme of another charity that grew and grew and had to go and stand on our own 2 feet, but did that at the worst possible time on the 1st of April 2020. So there was a lot that in those first year or two, being honest and transparent as ever, we had to sticky plaster and find solutions and just basically scramble to keep things moving forwards in the best interest of our apprentices. Now that we've managed to kind of catch our breath a little bit, and particularly with our system partner funding from Sport England, which has just been incredible since 2022, it's really ensured that we've had to pull our bootstraps up around governance and making sure that we can form some really meaningful kind of projects and pieces of work. So one of which is our Diversity Inclusion Action Plan. We're working on our ESG program. So there's a number of different things, policies and strengthening the foundation itself that has undergone, but also some brilliant partnerships that Amy, now being freed up to work in her more national partnerships role, to work with fantastic organisations like Mind and start to look at the mental health of our young people, which we know is obviously an ever-growing and ever-changing landscape. So, and I think James is on the call today, so thank you for your support on that, James, as well. Shifting from kind of people and behind the scenes, which is obviously always our priority, but out to programmes themselves. I won't read that all out, but ultimately you can see our commitment that has always been there to make sure that anywhere we establish a programme, if it's still needed and we can still do it, we will always want to repeat and keep working in those programs. We're not about just picking up and moving on to new projects to make ourselves look good. So we've got a deep, meaningful commitment to a number of areas and cities that we've worked in for a while now, and that hasn't changed, as you can see from some of those upcoming programs the employment coaches are working incredibly hard on. But we've also got, excitingly, some new projects. So some of the national delivered programs that have won awards in their own right, like England Boxing recently, which was incredible, which I'll come on to in a second. We've also now established some new physical programs, for want of a better expression, in Cheshire, North Lancashire, and we hope there'll be one coming in Lincolnshire as well very soon. So some really exciting stuff that, again, if you want to learn more, find out more, feel free to drop us a line. And then in terms of some of those wider things, it's just been incredible. I think anybody that knows me well enough knows I feel massively uncomfortable when it comes to kind of awards, and I've had to be dragged kicking and screaming into the light to sort of celebrate some of the things that we do. But now that I break out the green bow tie pretty much every year. I can't really claim to be that bashful about it anymore. So the Coach Corps Awards in February, as Maddie said, was just amazing. It's definitely the best day of my year, just to celebrate those stories of our young people and put them to the front of it, and the incredible work that goes around them, from their employers to the active partners that are working so hard behind the scenes and probably don't get the recognition and respect that they deserve, and obviously through to my own team, which, you know, I'm super grateful for. So lots of internal stuff, but also some incredible awards that we've won within the sector as well that are listed there. The main thing that's kind of been on our horizon though is we've got a brand new strategy coming out, which will be a town hall all in itself. We've got some really exciting stuff coming out this summer when we intend to launch it, that essentially will help us make sure that the Coach Corps offer for all young people is going to be strengthened, and hopefully here in 20 years time, not just 2 years time. So some really exciting stuff going on ahead of that strategy, which again I'm sure I'll bore you about in the future. And then lastly, we've done a lot more, as I say, around our governance piece. We've got some trustee and board positions at the moment that we're advertising for. So for anyone on the call that's interested and or hasn't shared that with their network, please do. That closes on Friday. We're looking for those incredible superheroes that can put some time and expertise around us to help us on that exciting new next chapter for the charity. And then Amy in particular with Bell has been working incredibly hard to start really pushing something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and that's, we all know, you know, Maddie's a prime example on this call today, but we've got some unbelievably inspiring graduates now coming out of our program, and whilst we will always try and have tried to engage with them, we want to keep making sure that we're providing opportunities for them to learn, to connect, to network, and not just basically see our job as done, that once they've left Coach Corps, that's it. So we really will be spending a lot of time and investment into our alumni graduate network, which has already kicked off with the WhatsApp community and some of the plans that we've got coming up for that. So I'll leave it at that. As you can say, it's a bit of a whistle-stop 6-month tour. We've also got a bit of an update later on how we're going to work with Run Communications to really boost the PR and shout louder about the things that we do. But I'll leave that, as I say, to Joel and to Belle a little later on. But yeah, if you've got any questions or you want to push anything that I've just mentioned there, either stick it on the chat or drop me an email. Thanks all.
Cool. Cheers, that Gary. Like I said, quicker whistle-stop update there. We need to have way more time if we want to jump into all those areas, but hopefully gives you a bit of an idea of some of the stuff that's going on, and again some of those program launches that are coming up. So next I'm going to pass over to Law, because I know we always like to give you guys a bit of an update on where we're at against all of those kind of like key metrics and stats and data that we track. So yeah, over to you, Laura.
Thank you. Hi everyone. So yeah, as Paul said, a bit of an overview. Apprentice-wise, all time, so that's since we started in 2012, we're up to kind of 957, and we'll talk a little bit more about us reaching the 1,000th apprentice mark and how we want to talk about those 1,000th people, that 1,000th person, and then how we're going to be looking with our new strategy for the next 1,000 graduates. So those are we class graduates as those that have come through the programme and achieved their qualification. And we're sitting around 70%. And to put that in perspective, nationally, achievement rates of apprenticeships is around 53%, and in the sport and leisure sectors around 59%. And you know, and considering the young people that we're actively targeting, that kind of face different barriers into education and employment, I think that kind of shows the success of the program and the importance of that wraparound support and the learning coaches and all the other people that we have within our network that are in the call today that make that a really healthy working and education environment for our young people. Success rate, so that's those that have graduated plus those that have gone into other routes. So we kind of acknowledge that, through the apprenticeship, young people might realise that actually I want to go in a slightly different direction, into a different employment, or indeed maybe onto kind of a different further education route. So we like to capture that and add those statistics in there as well. And then we go into kind of the areas that we're targeting, which will not be unfamiliar, as obviously many organisations are looking at, boosting women and girls. So we're kind of nearing our target there of 50%, and we'll be continuing to do kind of targeted work on how to get more women into these coaching roles. Working with ethnically diverse communities, so 1 in 3 at the moment. But again, we want to make sure that that's really reflective of the different localities that we're working with, and working close with the active partnerships to make sure that we are working with organisations that can support us in identifying diverse communities. Also looking at kind of socioeconomic areas, so looking at working with those in kind of the top 30% IMD. So at the moment, those in learning, we're on 46%, but again, still an area we want to be continuing to focus on, and making sure that, although that's only one measure, so looking at, you know, where their postcode is, that we're continuing to make sure that this programme is available for everyone. And how do we do that? Through more targeted recruitment. I'm really going quickly through this because I'm conscious that we're a bit behind time, but if you have got questions or things you'd like to know more, please do put it in the chat, and I'm more than happy to answer in more detail. Learning support needs is another area we're going to really be focusing on at the moment. So those statistics are based on what we get from our learning coaches and from lifetime training. So we work closely with them with data sharing. But this is only really telling us part of the story. Those young people that disclose or have indeed a diagnosis of additional support that they need, but we know that there's additional barriers and challenges facing our young people that may kind of get disclosed later in the apprenticeship, or indeed something that, you know, they don't feel comfortable kind of talking about openly. So we want to get better at telling that story and really understanding the needs of the individuals that are coming onto our programme. So that will be something that we'll be talking about more in upcoming town halls. And then lastly, employers. So we've worked with over 200 employers now. So we've kind of exceeded the target that we set ourselves in the last strategy period, and are really grateful for the fantastic employers that we have up and down the country. So yeah, quick snapshot. And yeah, if anything else you'd like a bit more information on, feel free to pop it in the chat. Thanks, Paul.
Cool. Thanks so much for that, Laura. Yeah, hopefully that was useful to give you a bit of a quick update on where we're at. I suppose one quick thing just to flag as well, linked with employers now, I suppose one of the key bits of the employment coaches role is how they're offering information, advice and guidance support to any employers. So for those that are even taking on apprentices outside of Coach Call, I know kind of like since they've come in post, they've probably supported over 200 employers just themselves, looking at that information, advice and guidance support, who may not become a Coach Call employer. So just something that I want to flag quickly before I now pass over to Belle, who's the main star of the show for the rest of the time that you guys are going to be with us, to chat around all things campaigns, social media, 1000th Apprentice, all stuff that we want to shout and talk about over the next 6 months or so. So over to you, Belle.
Great, thank you so much. So before I begin, nothing that we're going to talk about is set in stone. The point of Town Hall is to make sure that we're listening to your ideas and opinions, and this is just what we've ballparked based on previous campaigns and a few research pieces, but we really want to hear from you. So this can totally change, and maybe in 6 months I'll report on what we have posted and it will be completely different, and that's absolutely okay. So we'll start with 1000th Apprentice because that's our biggest campaign coming up. We keep talking about it, but just to give you some more context, it is literally our 1000th Apprentice entering learning very, very soon. And this is the best time for us to mark all our successes and start celebrating with you, so our employers, learning coaches, partners, supporters, and get a conversation about what we really do out there. I think a lot of people see us as a charity and an apprenticeship program, but obviously we're all the people that make up that program as well. So this campaign is going to run for a few months, and that means it's going to overlap over some other campaigns. And instead of it just being, this is campaign 1, this is campaign 2, we want the 1000th Apprentice to weave in and out of our other projects, like our strategy launch or our press releases and our results day. Coming in June, I predict, we can't exactly very accurately guess when our 1000th Apprentice is going to be. So at the moment, we're just saying in the next few months in summer. We're going to start obviously advertising it. We're nearing it pretty soon, but we won't be celebrating until sometime in the summer. But I'll start with socials and content. I've broken it up into kind of departments of our working so that you can best see what we're doing. And then later I'll ask for some questions and a bit of involvement from you all. So it's not all just sitting and listening. But to begin, we're going to go with a bit of new branding. If you've been with us for a while, you'll know that in 10th anniversary, we came up with a new 10th logo, and that was really good fun. We changed all our websites, social posts, email signatures, and it was just very aware and out in the open that we were celebrating this huge event. And that's what we wanted to do all over again with a brand new logo. And we're in the works of making this encapsulating as many of, if not all, the 1,000 names of people involved in the programme to really commemorate absolutely every single person who's played a part and show you the scale of how big this programme has been. And of course, we'll be talking to our 1,000th apprentice once we know who they are. And a bit like we've done this recently with England Boxing, following some of our apprentices from the start of their journey to the end of their journey, but we really want to make sure that we're documenting what sort of journey they go on and things that they overcome from the very beginning. So there's going to be a spotlight on that one person, which means that we can also relate back to our graduates, people who started on the programme at the beginning. We've had some great ideas of doing interviews between our very first apprentice and our 1,000th apprentice, some supporters, and giving them tips and tricks on what the apprenticeship's going to be like. And then because we're dealing with 1,000 apprentices, we've got a lot of great stories in amongst those. So we're hoping to spotlight at least 3 to 5. This might change depending on if we have a really juicy one story and we want to tell it properly, and that takes a few months of capturing the right content. Or it might be that we have lots of little stories worth telling, and every month we release a new story. So we're going to start spotlighting our grads again. And then we also want opinion pieces. So not just from our staff, but from people like yourselves. We've got 48 people in the school at the moment, and I'm sure that all of us have some sort of connection to Coach Core, reason that we're here. And it would be great to start documenting and telling a wider story about how we got to our 1,000th apprentice. So we want to hear from you and have guest writers and kind of, I keep saying the word spotlight, but it's so true, just bringing someone to the surface and telling their story. And then a bit like Amy's showcasing here during National Apprenticeship Week, we want things to commemorate this. We want stickers, selfie boards, lots of visual merch to start celebrating. If you go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So next on to fundraising. As I said before, we're going to have a few other campaigns ongoing. So it's the Olympics this summer, and we'd love to do a big fundraising project. And sorry for dobbing you in there, Amy. We've got a really exciting time with the Olympics. We've got loads of connections to Coach Core, and I'll talk about the Olympics campaign a bit later, but we're hoping to do some sort of big fundraiser for that. And we're realising that we ask a lot of you supporters, so we don't want to do too much, but we did think it was a great opportunity to get involved online by texting to donate or donating on our website at the bottom of these stories, because the truth is we're going to have to fund the next 1,000 apprentices, and we really want to create a solid programme that is supported. So we thought 1,000 pennies to celebrate 1,000th apprentice would be a good angle and not too big of an ask. And then it is a celebration of successes. So we want to have celebratory days where we invite our apprentices to talk about their journeys, graduates to talk about what they're up to since they've been graduating, and we'll have a little bit of a party, a corporate party. We're not going to go wild, but we will have some cakes and balloons and just lots of leaflets so that you can kind of help plan next launches. So we've talked to a few of our really good big corporate partners so far about days that we could possibly do, but we are also hoping that other people like our employers would like to throw their own parties to their apprentices, or maybe do something to commemorate this special day when works for you. And hopefully it's a bit like slightly like our 10th anniversary, a bit like a birthday to celebrate this. And of course, I'll make your job super easy by giving you loads of posts and captions and hashtags. So all you have to do is maybe add your name, add a sentence while you're sharing, and join the conversation throughout the summer. And if you really wanted to get involved in a little bit further, we are asking the question, what makes you unique? So we're asking, what makes you the 1 in 1,000? And hopefully we can get some really lovely stories and quotes from that, and you can start a conversation about why you do what you do and why this means so much to you. And we're going to celebrate the uniqueness of every single person in Coach Core, because we're all different and it's great. So if we can move on to the next slide. Thank you, Paul. For our apprentice learning coaches and employers, we're hoping to get them involved in a different way. We really want them to take some ownership of this campaign because they're one of these 1,000 apprentices. They're contributing towards this whole thing. They're the reason that we could get to this number. You are all Coach Corps. So I thought it'd be fun to introduce a competition where our employers and partners and apprentices take on some sort of video competition. So they can create photos, videos, maybe a day in the life of. We'll have a theme alongside the what makes you unique, what makes you 1 in 1,000. And later I will share the asks of what all these projects lead to. But I think we're kind of trying to source some sort of prize that would be worth it to absolutely anybody across the UK and see how we can fund this project. But I really think it'd be great to throw our platforms over to our apprentices and the people actually down on the ground and see what they can come up with and what they want to talk about and why this means something to them. And then I found out from one of our team that there's a chance of doing a panel discussion, and that's a great idea. So we've dobbed Gary in. He didn't have a choice, and it's going to be a great discussion. And we're going to, again, just ask some key questions. And what we're going to want from you is what questions you think should be asked, what we should be talking about, and make sure that the conversation is led by yourselves, not just us talking about what we've done in the past. And also, there's an opportunity here, obviously, to join the panel discussion. If you think I'm a really good talker, I love talking, then hopefully you're free on the same evening and we can do an Instagram live together. And there could be a few of these, or maybe just one. We'll see how it goes. But if you think this is something that interests you and you'd like to promote what you're doing as well, then do get in touch with us. And the last thing is, just because this is all planning, it's all drafting, thinking in the biggest sense possible, what can we do that is newsworthy or might leave a legacy? So we originally floated the idea of some t-shirts, but obviously there's quite a lot of problems around budget, or maybe a mural, but none of us are quite artists. So none of these are no's, but they're not really quite plausible at the moment. So if you think that you've got an idea of a way of marking this day or this apprentice, and it's something that would just leave a mark or get people talking or wondering, how it appeared or why we're doing it, or it looks visually good, I would love to hear from you, because I think there is a scope here to do something that's just completely abnormal to our normal campaigns. And at the bottom, just a little sentence, some kind of ceremony or event to celebrate. Can't go into too much detail, but we're really hoping to have not just like our corporate partner parties, but some sort of networking graduate event at some point, and it'll be a bit more formal and exciting, but these are all in the early discussions. So you can go to the next slide, please. So I've got a few actions for you, and like I said, it's going to be interactive. So for me, designing this 1,000th apprentice campaign, I really want to make sure that I'm using the right terminology, the themes, and I've got everything that you want from it. So I'm going to launch a word cloud, and the thing about word clouds is that the more that people say it, the bigger it gets. But I will see all answers regardless. So don't worry if you're typing a sentence and you can't see the sentence come up once we publish this word cloud. So I'm going to launch what comes to mind when you think of our 1,000th apprentice. And it can be ideas of how you want it to be perceived. It can be just words that you think of when you think about us reaching that milestone, or it could just be who you imagine as the 1,000th apprentice and what that actually looks like. And I'll leave it live for a couple of minutes, just because I know it takes some time to type out these things and think. We got a word straight away, which is great. And thank you for all your comments. It's hard for me to read the chat and talk at the same time, so I will catch up on the chat in a minute. Great stuff. I've got 6 responses. Oh, fantastic. So at the moment, it's all very, very positive. And I won't report on it straight after this meeting, but you will get a little follow-up email from us just talking about all the stuff we covered in Town Hall and a story. And you'll get to see some of these results and how our actions have been shaped from this. So don't worry if you're wondering what's being said and I'm not seeing every single word. And also, if you have a great idea and a great word that comes to mind and you haven't had a chance to put in the word cloud, then feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chat, or hopefully one of our team can do it for me. If not, I'll do it at the end. And you can just email me some ideas as well. Great, we've got 36, 39, that was good. About 10 more we're waiting on, so I'll just give people a chance.
Bell will wait as well, so you need to please input it. That'll be it. Like, this will be a really uncomfortable silence until the numbers match. So
that's great. So we'll click a few results. Thank you so much for responding to that one. Just to read out a few, like I said, I won't report back on it officially, but we've got stuff like Heart of the Community, Celebration, Success, Driving Change, Local Heroes, Workforce Development. Really love all of those, and I think that's exactly what we want people to come back with when we're posting about this and talking about it. So the next one is, I've given you all ideas, but now it's going to take a bit of time and thinking about this one, so I'll give you a couple more minutes than before. But I want you to rank the ideas I've just presented to you in order of what excites you most. And by that, I mean what you think you'd actually like you to be interacting with or sharing, or what you just really have wanted to see from us, and rank it. And it should come up with the order in which you should rank it. Hopefully it should be top is the most popular, but it's not quite easy to see. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit longer because there's quite a few, so I'll read them out as well, for anybody needing some help with this. We've got panels and blogs, 1000 storytelling, online conversations, new temporary branding, a content competition, celebration days, stickers and selfie boards, and donation opportunities. Just taking a moment to have a breather as well while you rank those. For me, it's weird because on a social level, I've always got the things that excite me, but for each of your roles being so different, I can imagine that the ranking will be quite varied, which is great. I see a lot of thinking faces. I'll give you a little bit longer. And again, if you do have any things that are particularly interesting to you, then we can just email afterwards or have a call. The editing process of this, again, depends on when your 1000th apprentice actually comes in, but I'm trying to do all the assets in amongst sports day planning at the moment, and we'll be sharing assets, at least the basic stuff, even if not specifically the star 1000th apprentice, but just to join a conversation in about a month's time. So you should be fully equipped to at least start talking about it or sharing if you want to. Great. I'm going to.
Bell, I was going to say, if time, don't worry, if you're going to move on, it's fine. I was going to say, if time allows, just in terms of for the non-digi focused people, just a couple of quick examples of things, just if it was going to help them make their mind. If you've got enough answers come in, I can't see that, but if you've got it, then fine. But if you wanted to give a few examples, then that would have been cool.
Yeah, no worries. So things like celebration days, if you would like me to be hosting one, or that excites you because you've never done something like that with Coach Core, you think there's a good opportunity to promote your own work or tell a story there, or come along to one of ours, then that might be a bit more exciting than the opportunity to donate, perhaps. But if you think, actually, I haven't had a chance to give to Coach Core for a reason, and I know loads of people that would rather donate to a campaign like this, and do a text to donate, you know, my mum, my dad, or someone might find that a bit easier than going on a website and clicking donate, then that might excite you more than a celebration day and cupcakes. So the idea is just ranking it in what you think you're most likely to be interacting with, and what really actually makes you think, oh, this could be a really fun campaign to get involved with, because that's the biggest thing here, is that it's a celebration, so we want it to be fun. or if you think it's branding and it's just nice to see something new and refreshed. It's been a couple of years since 10th anniversary stuff. Yeah, I'm going to close this poll and move on though, but I can leave it open actually and launch the next poll, so you can still have some time doing it if you like. But the next thing is just how likely you are to interact with 1,000 Apprentice. If you've literally come on as an observer and you know not too much about Coach Core, then that's absolutely fine. It might be that you we've got options like depends on commitment, just online, so you might just like some social posts, you might just share some social posts, or it might be just in person. So if we do an event or just for your coaching, you talk about it, that might be it. But we've also, it's multi-choice, so you can say I'm very likely to interact with this campaign, but just in person. You can click those two options, and that for me just says at this point of planning, we're either doing too much, not enough, maybe not enough in person, not enough online, or that, you know, you're very busy people and you're very important people in this call. So I know that you're already doing a lot and maybe you're supporting other charities and we need to balance that out. So it says to me what sort of assets I should be creating and how easy it is for you to share and get involved with all the conversation, because we want it to be as interactive as possible and as worth something to you, not just us shouting about it and getting excited on our own. I'm going to close the ranking poll now, but again, you can email me anyway. And it sounds like the storytelling is the most exciting thing going on, which says to us that I need to capture as many of those stories as I can. And you'll see in the next slide. If we go to the next slide, actually now, Paul, I can talk through it while the other poll is up. That perhaps you know somebody who would be like to featured in this campaign. So if you know an apprentice with a really great story to tell, or a graduate, or maybe as an employer, you've loved being part of the programme and you've had so many apprentices and there's a running theme that makes them unique. We'd love to hear from you, basically. We want to know why you are unique, why you are 1 in 1,000, and why you're celebrating with us. So at the end of this, again, if someone in the team could help my email in the chat, that would be mega useful. But basically, if you drop me an email saying I've got a story to tell, then I'll pick that up with you and that'll be great. If you do have an idea of commemorating this legacy, this newsworthy event, then I'd love to hear from you too. And you can think huge, just case of we'll work out logistics later. I just want to hear all the ideas first. And it also makes me think bigger for the future. So if in 5 years we reach 1,500, I don't think that's very predictable, but if we hit that sort of goal, then how would we celebrate it then? Perhaps when we're a bit bigger, or we've got more investment. And in those terms, we obviously can't fund the campaign just on its own, otherwise it would just be free online social stuff. So if it's a case of maybe you could offer a prize for that content competition, or maybe you'd like to sponsor t-shirts or cupcakes, or maybe you just say, I'm definitely going to take part in Text to Donate, can I have a QR code shared to my team? If you can get involved in any sort of way to really help boost the exposure of this campaign, then I'd love to hear from you as well. And maybe you want to hold your own sort of celebration or party, or you're saying, I can't do what you're asking me to, but I've got an idea of telling my teams, or having a theme session or something. So if you think that you can do something that you're already doing in a slightly different way that would help us celebrate, I'd love to hear from you too. And again, it's just an expansion over a few months of constantly talking about it. So it's not like it has to be on a certain day, it's flexible around you. I think I'll stop there actually. I'll close the poll. Thank you so much for voting. It seems like we've got quite a lot of people ready to interact, and I really appreciate that. And there's a lot of people in this call who can do some great things. So yeah, let's move on and talk about our social campaigns. We've got about 15 minutes left of Town Hall, so I'll try and do a whistle-stop tour of as much information as possible. So upcoming next Monday, we've got UK Coaching Week, and the theme is Holistic Coaching, Developing Skills for Life. Now, this isn't a campaign that we're running, we're just supporting UK Coaching, but it's really important to us because it does encapsulate absolutely everything that we're about. And our coaches are obviously the core of what we do. play on words there. So we're asking people to send in thank you messages. If someone on the team could help post my phone number, I'd really appreciate that too, because then we can, maybe you'd like to join in and send a thank you coach message on WhatsApp or as a quote on a message. We'll collate all those thank you messages and share what we're doing. And also we have a video from our grads just answering some questions that will help showcase the fact they've got skills for life, which is one of the themes that we're doing. And that's next Monday for the whole week. So you'll see this content spread out. And again, as always, if you have any other ideas or ways we can get involved, or you're doing something for UK Coaching Week and you'd like us to support, we will absolutely be there. Mental Health Awareness Week is a very, very important one, as we talked about. Gary said it's a changing landscape, and it's so true, and we need more resources on it than ever before. So we're doing a big focus on the 13th to the 19th of May, when the national holiday is, and the theme is moving more for our mental health. This is a really exciting one because obviously we know that living active lifestyles really improves life quality and wellness. And that's the ethos that our coaches are presenting to their communities and participants every single day. So what we want to do is talk about how you're moving for your mental health. So if you've got a story as someone who's involved with Coach Core in some way, we'd love to share that. And our team will also be creating a new video. Haven't briefed the team fully on what they're going to be doing because I found that the best participation comes from the requests on WhatsApp. So look out for that one. That'll be really fun. And we're also going to be sharing a blog on how our work supports positive mental health movements. So hopefully you have a chance to share that blog and give it a good read. And if you want to participate in any blog writing to do with mental health, we'd love to hear from you. And then, as Gary mentioned, we've launched WhatsApp. We've done that for graduates, apprentices, and learning coaches, and it's been pretty successful. What we want to do, though, is not have so many asks of our apprentices and grads, and we'd like to offer them something of value. Also, if you can hear squeaking and noises, it's my dog playing with a squeaky toy, so please ignore that. So we're just suggesting that if you've got any events or news, or maybe for graduates, job opportunities, or absolutely anything, to get in touch with us, and then we can share it out to quite a big network of a few hundred graduates, same with our apprentices. We've got World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development on May 21st. So we're going to show a wide range of dialogue through Q&As and polls and threads, and start an online conversation where we again hand over our platform to our multicultural apprentices and different communities. So if you're doing something to do that, again, just email or give me a WhatsApp and we can talk about how we can collaborate. Pride is a whole month of June, and what we would like to do is offer blog spots and short video takeovers. So if that's Instagram stories for the day, Instagram Reels, TikToks. And again, if the live panels from our 1000th apprentice goes well, we'd love to do some more of them. So if you think you'd like to chat about Pride in some way that's to do with Coach Core's work, please put yourself forward, and you can look out for those. And we'd love to have you resharing as much of these conversations as possible, just because, again, networking is the best way to get messages out, and we'll do the same for you in the future. The Olympics campaign is one of the most exciting ones because we were inspired by the 2012 Olympics, and it has the exact meaning of power of sport, which we're addressing every single day. But we're really open to ideas. We've got a few conversations with professional athletes. Our ambassadors are really involved. And we've also got a set of interns coming in over the summer who will be doing hopefully a big campaign and portfolio on the Olympics to get our message and work out there. So I'm interested to hear from all of you about if you think there's a particular type of fundraiser or social posts or angle we should be going at. So this one's a little bit left to the open. Love to hear from you. You go next slide. You see it's quite a busy programme, but to end it before the 6 months is over, we've got our very exciting Results Week campaign. I'm absolutely buzzing about this one because last year it felt like it had the most meaningful message out of all our campaigns. We did a results aren't everything, and I'll share a YouTube link if you haven't seen our video from last year. But this week, this Results Week, we're doing not just a number. So the whole point of our 1 in 1000 is that you're unique, but you're not just apprentice number 97869 whatever. You're a person with history and a future and meaning. And we're also saying, you know, with GCSE grades being numbers, they don't define you. Whatever number you get doesn't matter. And we talk about 2.5 million participants in all the time, but they're not numbers either. They're communities, they're people with families, and they've got lives. And we want to make sure that we're documenting how our work supports their life. So all of this will be, again, woven into our strategy and our impact reports. So whenever we talk about Results Week, we're going to talk about our future plans with our strategy and do kind of a double announcement. But we really, really, really want this to be particularly employer-led. But if you know somebody with maybe potentially low results or somebody who didn't have a great start but now is in a great position, we'd love to hear from you. And if you think as a company or organisation you'd like to be a supporter, we're going to start taking applications for official supporters soon, where you would get a set of assets and know when to post and all the captions and supporting materials, and maybe can do some sort of social campaigns of your own with these themes. So it's going to be a really exciting 2 weeks. This is obviously in August, mid-August, just after Olympic stuff, but one of the best ones. So if you think you'd like to be interested, we'll have a conversation. If you go next slide, please. And before we do some sort of recapping on your opinions about all these campaigns, just to give you an introduction to Run. I can't see Joel on this call, but I'm going to introduce him really quickly. Run Communications are a PR agency that are supporting me while you'll see that my manager, who does all things Digi, James, isn't on the call. He's on paternity leave. So we're kind of taking up the workload a little bit more. And we've got some really exciting plans as part of their strategy and agenda. We're working with us while James has gone until he returns in September. So the whole point is elevating our stories. So if you're saying 1,000 storytelling is the most exciting, well, then we're going to try and make sure that hits newspapers and as many people as possible, kind of making Coach Core famous. Our strategy launch will be a really big focus for Run. But we're also going to have some smaller stories coming up in the next few months. So we're going to focus on AR and technology, inclusive sports coaching, and then we're going to focus on each location. So perhaps you're based somewhere a little bit smaller or unknown, or we haven't done much coverage about you before. We're hoping to start making sure we're filling in those gaps and talking about everybody involved in Coach Core. So if you have a story, even if you think it might not be too good at the time, talk to me about it, because I might give it to Joel and he might be able to make it get a bit bigger or more exposure. And if not, we've got a great case study for later. And also he's just helping me with some comm support, which is really useful. So when you're talking to me, you might also, by off chance, be talking to Joel, as we're going to work together closely. Next slide, please. Cool. Thank you. So another word cloud, because we absolutely love them and they're the most useful for me. I'd love to know particularly about this campaign. Obviously, as someone who's not as diverse, I want to make sure that we're talking about this in the correct way, and it's what people would like. So I'd love to know what comes to your mind when you think of cultural diversity. I'm going to launch this one, but not for too long. And again, you can always email me if you don't have time to type maybe a longer sentence or a bigger idea. But I just want to make sure that I am encapsulating kind of your initial thoughts about this campaign. We've got some great ones already, like reflective imagery, celebration, and celebrating differences. We've got equality, story, more celebration. I absolutely think it should be a cheering about what makes us different. More stories. Fabulous. Great, you've got communities, representation, workforce, bring whole, power diversity. Again, some of these get cut off, but these are absolutely fantastic. We've got a lot to shout about as well, especially as we've got so many communities in part of Coach Core. Brilliant. 17. When I hit 25 responses, I'll close the poll. So we're slowing down a bit. We've got a few more polls to go through. Perfect. Aspect of our communities, different countries, protected characteristics. Brilliant. That's great. Inclusive. Yep. Just a couple more. And it's quite a difficult one because I didn't really know what came to my mind originally. Removing barriers. Yeah, perfect. Different ways. Absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you all for that. I'm going to close the poll there. I know we've only kind of gone halfway through, but the other polls are slightly pressing with time. So there we go. Next word cloud is words that encapsulate both the Olympics and Coach Core. So think of a Venn diagram being one circle and with Coach Core and the Olympics in them. And you should all know how this works by now. Basically trying to find out our roots and why we're going to be doing an Olympic themed campaign and what you think would represent us the best. And if you think about the sort kind of sports that we do, or why the Olympics are important, or why it might inspire people to do some sports. I love this. We've got diversity, success, inspirational stories. I think storytelling is one of the biggest I want to say pools at the moment. It's obviously there's a need to talk about Coach Core stories in more detail. And just listening to Maddie's at the beginning, and it made me a bit teary, and I've heard it a million times. And it just shows how important these stories are. Gary's marathon, I love that. Bounce back ability. Achievement, parasport, variety. Fantastic. I'll get to 30 because this one's really popping, and then we'll close it there. Diversity, perseverance, aspiration. Oh, well done, everyone. 28 responses. Brilliant. So, inspire next generation. Love it. I'm going to close it there. If you haven't had a chance to do it and you really, really wanted to, please do. Again, just WhatsApp me, email me words, and I've been recording names. It's not, no one else can see your name, don't worry, but just so that I can maybe pick someone up on a really good idea later. So you may get an email from me. And now all I want to make sure that you do is, if you do have a story of success of some kind, to remember to tell us about it. Or if you have a way of interacting with these campaigns, then I'd love to hear from you. If you can go to the next slide, please. Great. So just the absolutely key things I'd like you to take away in the last 4 minutes before we wrap up is, if you can send in some sort of thanks coach message for next Monday, that will give me time to edit it, and we'd love for you to be involved. The whole point is sharing your voices as much as ours. And if you do know someone that can collaborate in a campaign, absolutely any campaign I've mentioned, I know there's a few coming up, we're always editing these campaigns right up until the very week before. So even if it's a bit later, you think I can't help right now, but can closer to the time, that's great. If your organisation is already celebrating a campaign, one of these campaigns, then we'd love to collaborate. We'd love to share what you're doing. We'd love to maybe do a guest spot, a quote on a blog, or contribute to your podcast or your Spotify playlist or something. So just let us know how we can help, or how you might want us to be involved, and we will. And also just a reminder, these are just the big campaigns. We've still got everyday socials, and we're always posting regularly. These are just the big focuses that we're kind of running as part of Coach Core. And then lastly, if you do want to be a partner of our Results Day, then do let us know, especially if you know people with potentially not the results that they wanted and they're still, what's the word, excelling. Next slide, please. I realise that Paul was correct though. These are the key actions: thanks coach messages, Results Day partners. If you have something to offer for our 1,000th apprentice campaign, that's a big one. And all the rest, yeah. I think everyone gets the message. Hopefully this is a good summary and you can know what to expect in the next 6 months. I think we can wrap up there, but if you do have any questions, or you think that we're not going about a campaign the correct way, if you think we're missing something that's really obvious, or you have just an amazing idea, I'd love to hear from you. And again, this is led by you. Like, no campaign is just me in my office writing this up. It's all made by your opinions and thoughts and what you want from them. I think that's all good. Do we have any questions just off the back of that? Lots of shaking heads.
So when people are thinking, feel free to pop any questions in the chat. I suppose just a bit of a recap, I suppose, is like town halls, what they're really here for is, one, to give you a bit of a quick update. So obviously we had kind of Gary and Laura kicking us off with just some of those key bits, as well as what's going on, what's coming up. and some of those kind of key stats and metrics and how we're doing against what we say we're going to do, because we like to think we're kind of quite open and honest with regards to what we're doing, where we're doing it, and how we're doing against all of that. But the other bit is like genuinely from all of the stuff that Belle said, is that those kind of like deeper dive subjects. Obviously, we did the strategy last time, some of our marketing and comm stuff this time around, social media campaigns and 1,000 Apprentice. It is 100% your opportunity to kind of help shape some of that work. So a lot of the work, a lot of the feedback from the last town hall back in November has already been used with regards to shaping our strategy and changing some of the ways that we word and think about stuff. So that was really, really valuable, and appreciate all your feedback in. So all the feedback today, like I said, Belle's going to be working her way through it, start looking at how that influences all of our campaigns moving forward. And like she said, she may be in touch to reach out and chat about a few things specifically with you guys. But thanks very much for your time. We're bang on 1 o'clock, so we're going to let you guys jump off on time, and hopefully we'll see you next time, and keep your eyes peeled for the next invite. But any questions, feel free to reach out to Belle or anybody in the team, and we'll see you all soon.